So you're probably wondering yourself, how does a Greek from Minnesota in the late 1930s change NHL history? Well, there's there's a story behind it. It involves a lot of things. A broken foot, a demand for wages that led to him being almost fired from the NHL, but a return to the association also included some contests with the Montreal Canadiens in their non-dynasty years of the 1940s. So the center of this story is probably one of the greatest goalies in Chicago Blackhawk history, looked up to by many generations of people in Minnesota, and a inaugural member of the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. Of course, it has to be the great Mike Karakas. Michael George Karakas was born in the beautiful community of Aurora, Minnesota, and November 13th, 1910. He was the league's first American-born and trained goaltender and the first player in the Association of Greek Descent. He played 6 full seasons and parts 2 others with the Blackhawks as well as the Montreal Canadiens, and appeared in 2 Stanley Cup finals, winning once. In 1938, he led Chicago, who had a .411 winning percentage in the regular season, to a second Stanley Cup. Playing would get us a steel-toed boot on one foot in the last 2 games of the finals, after he had broken it in the last game of the semifinals. Stan Fischler did a very important essay on that many years ago that was available through the Hockey News. Now, again, Karakas is one of the original members of the United States Hockey Hall of Fame. Not the biggest drink of water, 5'11", 147. Now, born in Aurora, he grew up in nearby Eveleth. I always have trouble with that pronunciation. Eveleth. Growing up, Karakas, and get this, Mr. Zero, Frank Brimsek, who also became a goalie in the NHL with Boston with great success, were battery mates for the high school baseball team, with Karakas catching. Now, he played 8 seasons for the Blackhawks between 36 and 45, and part of one with Montreal. In his first campaign with Chicago, he was awarded the Calder Memorial Trophy after posting a 185 GAA with 9 shutouts in 48 games. Karakas was only invited to play for the Blackhawks because the regular goalie, the great Laurent Chabot, was injured. After posting 4 wins in 4 games with 3 blanks, the Blackhawks made Karakas their starting goalie, and Chabot was later traded to the Montreal Maroons. Now, he won the Stanley Cup in 1938, playing for the first out of 2 teams which won the Cup with a losing record. For the 1938 campaign, their owner, Mayor Frederick McLaughlin, a little bit ahead of time, ordered his GM to ice him a team of All-American players. After losing 5 of its first 6 games with an All-American roster, some Canadian players were added. However, the team faltered the rest of the year with a 14-25-9 record for that .411 winning percentage. Now, in the postseason, he suffered a broken toe just before the start of the Stanley Cup final against Toronto. The Blackhawks were forced to substitute Alfie Moore for Karakas in the first game, but after the first contest, Moore was ruled ineligible, and the Blackhawks lost the next game. Karakas was called back into action and was allowed to play with a steel-toe boot and won the next 2 contests, leading the Blackhawks to their second Stanley Cup win. Overall, in that playoff run, he had a 6-2 record with 2 shutouts and a 1.71 goals against average. Karakas also surrendered an overtime goal-clinching Stanley Cup counter by Toe Blake in the 44 Stanley Cup Finals, would herald the modern era of the Montreal Canadiens dynasty. So he contributed to Montreal finally become that marquee team a lot of people predicted. Now, after helping Chicago win the Cup in 1938, Karakas made what was considered a psychological mistake. He asked the team's owners for a $500 raise. The owners refused the raise, and for the next 5 years, Karakas played only 3 full seasons in the American Hockey League and split 2 between the AHL and the NHL. Now, in his career, he had 28 shutouts in the regular season and another 3 in the playoffs. In 5 of his 8 seasons in Chicago, Karakas appeared in the full 48 games. In 1939, he played 17 games for Chicago, plus 5 more with Montreal, where he failed to win in 4 to 5 decisions. In 1973, of course, Karakas was named as an original member of the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame, located in his hometown of Eveleth. Thank you. But unfortunately, on May 2nd, 92, at the ripe old age of 81, he passed away in Wakefield Township, Minnesota, leaving to mourn many family members and friends and a successful legacy. Now, Mike was not the only big player in the family. His brother Tommy played college hockey in Illinois, winning a title there in 1943. Now, he was in the AHA for a number of years before he came to the NHL. He was what I call a late bloomer. I think he was Calder winner when he was 26. He was selected to the AHA First All-Star team in 35, Calder winner in 36, Stanley Cup champion in 38, Calder Cup champion in 1940, selected to the AHL First All-Star team in 41, the AHL Second All-Star team in 43, and the NHL Second All-Star team in 45, and of course the Hockey Hall of Fame for the U.S. in 73. Now, the AHA, he was all over the place with Chicago Shamrocks for 2 years in the early 30s, the St. Louis Flyers in 33, and the original Tulsa Oilers in 34 and 35. Chicago inclusive between 36 and 39, sent to the minors in 1940 with Providence, and also played 1940 with Montreal going 0-4-1, 41 and 42, mostly with Providence, although he played with New Haven and Springfield in the 42 campaign with Springfield in the playoffs, 43 and 44 with the Reds, 26 games Chicago in 44, then back to the NHL for 48 games back-to-back in 45 and 46, then back to Providence in 47, and his final minor pro year was 48 with the Reds. But Karakas is best known, again, for one of the better players not in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Now, he's a top Chicago Blackhawk of all time, even though the record doesn't reflect it. 114, 169, 53 ties with 28 shutouts, and 20,600 minutes played. Now, the argument I would make, because he's the first American born and bred goalie to win the Stanley Cup, to have major prominence, he deserves to be there. If the United States Hockey Hall of Fame has him in, why is he not in the Hockey Hall of Fame? Well, maybe not enough publicity, but what he did in Providence, what he did with Chicago, what he did to motivate his teammates, and was a hero in that final, playing on a broken foot just like Bobby Bond. Tremendous. I think there should be a veteran committee should look at his resume, and I'd put him in because for Chicago Blackhawk legacy and for goalie legacy, the toughness. Hey, 147 pounds, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. 336 games in the AHL. He was durable, only a 292 average. So very, very good between the pipes. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe. And don't forget, if you have a penchant for goalies, a lot of people do, our archives have 200 or 300 essays on some of the top goalies in NHL history. A lot of the Montreal Canadiens goalies. And this is another Montreal Canadian goalie that made an impact, even though played 5 games. You're good enough to play in Montreal. You're good enough to play any place in the NHL of the 20s, 30s, 40s, and into the 50s. Thanks for listening.